So, on June 16, 2022, the Golden State Warriors win their fourth title in 8 years. Only 4 NBA teams have won 4 or more titles in the span of 8 years. One of the teams being the Bill Russell Celtics, who won 8 straight titles in a row. The other team being the Lakers, who won 5 titles in the span of 8 years. The third team being the Spurs, who won 4 titles in the span of 7 years. And the final team being, of course, the Golden State Warriors, who won 4 titles in the span of 8 years. With that being said, my question for this video is, can the Warriors repeat? Let's start off on how they were able to win the title this year. In the regular season, the Warriors had a 53-29 record, which put them third in the West. Curry later in the season had an injury that set him back, and he would miss the remainder of the year. The Warriors would go 5-0 that month without Steph. Now let's move on to the playoffs. In the playoffs, the Warriors had a starting lineup of Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Kevin Looney, with Steph coming off the bench because he was on a minute restriction. With that lineup, the Warriors still was able to win the game, winning it 123-107. And now they're up 1-0 in the series against the Nuggets. In Game 2, Steph was back in the starting lineup. With Steph back in the starting lineup, the Warriors easily win the game again, winning 126-106, and now up 2-0 against the Nuggets. Now moving on to Game 3. At Game 3, the Warriors are in Denver, and in Game 3 was a closer battle. But a great game by Klay Thompson, who had 26, and a great game by Jordan Poole, who had 27, helped the Warriors win the game. The Warriors win 118-113, and now the Warriors are up 3-0 in the Nuggets. Now moving on to Game 4, the Warriors are looking to sweep the Nuggets. But sadly, the Warriors could not do it. Jokic, of course, and Bones Highland had a great game and pushed the series to 5, heading back to Oakland. And in Game 5, the Warriors get it done, beating the Nuggets. They beat the Nuggets, and now they head to the second round where they'll face the Ja Morant Grizzlies. In Game 1, the Grizzlies vs. the Warriors, it was a crazy game. The Grizzlies and the Warriors fought to the very end, with the game being decided by this. And after that shot on the next possession, Ja Morant gets the layup but misses. And the Grizzlies end up losing Game 1, and the Warriors win the game 117-116. Now we move on to Game 2, where the Grizzlies are looking for a get back. And once they do get their get back, the Grizzlies beat the Warriors and tie the series at 1-1 apiece. Now it's time to move on to Game 3. In Game 3, the Warriors just completely blow out the Grizzlies. They won by 30, with the score being 142-112. And now Dub Nation's up 2-1 in the series. Now let's move on to Game 4. In Game 4, the Grizzlies do not have Ja Morant. He's out with an injury, but they still held their own in that game, only falling short by 3 and not going to Game 5. In Game 5, they still don't have Ja Morant, but yeah, they just blow out the Warriors, winning game 134-95. And now the series is at 3-2. Moving on to Game 6. In Game 6, the Warriors get it done, and now moving on to the Western Conference Finals, which is now their 6th Western Conference Finals in 8 years. In the Western Conference Finals, the Warriors played the Luka Doncic-led Mavericks. In the first game, the Warriors easily beat the Mavs, with the score being 112-87. And now moving on to Game 2, the Warriors are up 1-0. In Game 2, it was a much closer game. Luka Doncic went off for 40, trying to will the Mavericks to win, but just couldn't pull it off. And the Warriors take Game 2, 126-117. Now the Warriors are up 2-0 in the Mavericks, ahead of the Dallas, looking to be up 3-0. And then Dallas, it was a close game again, with Luka still trying to will the Mavericks to win, but just couldn't pull it off again. He scored 42 points that game, but the Warriors still won the game 109-100. Now the Warriors are up 3-0, and looking forward to Game 4 to close them out. And in Game 4, in the closeout game, Luka had another amazing game this series, and were able to pull the Mavericks to a win, winning the game by 10, with the score being 119-109. Now moving on to Game 5, where the Warriors are still trying to close out the Mavericks. For Game 5, since it's a closeout game, I'm going to go quarter by quarter talking about it. In quarter 1, Luka Doncic was struggling the whole quarter, shooting 2 for 10. But the Mavericks were still able to keep it close, only losing the quarter by 5, with the score being 28-23. Now in the second quarter for the Warriors, Klay Thompson did not miss a single shot, going 4 for 4 from the field and 3 for 3 from 3. And Jordan Poole that quarter only missed 1 shot, going 4 for 5. All while Luka was still struggling that quarter, taking 2 shots and not being able to hit neither of them. And the Warriors in the quarter being up 69-52, going into halftime. In the third quarter, Luka started heating up. He went 5 for 8 that quarter. Klay Thompson was still hot that quarter too, having 8 points that quarter and having a plus-minus of 5. Warriors in the quarter being up 96-84. And now it's time for the Warriors' most important quarter of this season so far. In the fourth quarter, Luka or Klay couldn't buy a bucket. Klay shooting 2 for 8 and Luka shooting 3 for 8. With that being said, the Warriors were able to pull off the dub, and now heading to their 6th finals in 8 years. In the finals, they'll play the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics team that have a DPOY and Marcus Smart, a two-way player in Jaylen Brown, and a superstar in Jason Tatum. Also a shot-blocking Robert Williams and a sharpshooter in Al Horford. 2 big men who can defend the paint. Off the bench, they have guys like Derek White and Grant Williams. This Celtics team is fairly matched for the Golden State Warriors. These 2 teams are the top 2 defensive teams in the league, and are both great offensively. So now let's head to Game 1. In Game 1, the Golden State Warriors are at home, and up to this point have yet to lose on their home court during the playoffs. But sadly, the Celtics are able to beat them despite a great game from Steph Curry. a game where he had 34 points. And now the Warriors are down 0-1 in the series, heading on to Game 2. In Game 2, the Warriors are able to blow out the Celtics, winning 107-88. Now the series is tied, heading to Boston. Now in Boston, the Warriors are looking to go up 2-1 in the series. Steph and Klay both had an amazing game. Steph had 31 points while Klay had 25. Sadly, that wasn't enough to overcome the Boston Celtics. Jaylen Brown had 27, Jason Tatum had 26, and Marcus Smart had 24. And with that, the Boston Celtics beat the Warriors and go up 2-1 in the series. Now coming into Game 4, the Warriors are looking to not go down 3-1. So Steph saves the day by dropping 43 points on the Celtics and led the Warriors to a 107-97 win over the Celtics, heading back to Oakland. The series tied at 2-2 apiece. The Warriors are looking to go up 3-2. And Jason Tatum had a great game that game, trying to stop them from going up 3-2. He scored 27 points, but that wasn't enough. The Warriors win 104-94. And now we move on to Game 6. In this game, the Warriors can either end the Celtics season or the Celtics can push it to a Game 7. With the title on the line, Steph Curry goes off for 34 points, and the Warriors are the NBA champions. And like I said earlier in the video, this is their 4th title in 8 years. And now the question I ask is, can the Warriors go back-to-back? So now let's move on and talk about the offseason. So first I'm going to talk about free agency. First player I will be talking about is Otto Porter. Otto Porter was a key part for the Warriors bench. In the finals, he had a game where he went 4 for 5 from 3. He was one of the guys on the Warriors bench who could come off the bench and hit a shot. Now he's no longer on the team. He recently signed with the Toronto Raptors. Now let's move on to another key piece of the Warriors bench, Gary Payton II. He was an amazing defender and a great finisher around the rim. Now moving on to Toscano Anderson. He signed with the Lakers. I don't think the Warriors are going to miss JTA that much. Moving on to the next player they lost, Bella Lisa. He left the NBA completely and just signed with the team overseas. He's a pretty good shooter for the Warriors. But now let's talk about the pieces they still do have. They have a guy like Jordan Poole, a microwave scorer who can go out there and get you a bucket. I could definitely see him being the 6th man of the year. They also got Moses Moody. He's been balling out in the summer league, and I expect something big for him next season. Then they have Jonathan Kuminga. He's a young guy who got some great minutes in the finals. I expect something from him next season too. And then they have their big man returning, James Wiseman, a very athletic big man who can step out and go out the perimeter, block shots, and shoot threes. And of course they had their core, and Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Andrew Wiggins. And Draymond Green if you want to count him for his defense and playmaking. They also made sure to kick Kevon Looney under contract. So I can see this team making a deep playoff run next season. But do I think they can repeat? No. My prediction for the Warriors next season is them making the Western Conference Finals. I can see the Clippers taking them out. If the Clippers can stay fully healthy the whole season, I can definitely see them beating the Warriors. But only time can tell. I'm out.